Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand Weekend Edition. All right, so we're still waiting on some guests. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Sometimes with these shows that kind of happen, and people don't always respond fast enough. But anyways, I hope everybody's having a good weekend. If you can, of course, like and share this thing, so we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we if anything grabs your anything we talk about grabs your attention, um, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. As I said, I'm just waiting on people to show up here. So let's see. Uh, um, Let me just see here. Anyways, so as I said, we're just waiting on people to show up here. Hmm. Walking in a crowd in a faceless town, need to feel the touch of a friend. In the countryside, I wander far. Oh, here we go. Hey, Rick. Finally found
How,
something. If you haven't already, you can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd help. So
just
how's your weekend going, Rick?
pretty good. And yours?
All right, just starting out the show a little slow because didn't have a whole lot of people in here as of yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off camera for just a moment. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna do something here real quick.
After these messages, he'll be right back. Okay, I'm not sure whether it's messages or not, but he'll be back. So how is everybody that nobody is here for or here? I hope everybody is doing good.
All right, try to make a slight little adjustment. All right, so all right. Well, let's see. Well, it's just you and me at the moment, Rick.
Yeah. So I
Um,
see.
yeah. Well, Diana said she wasn't gonna be able to make it because she got sick. So
Oh, that's too bad.
And I
Well,
was I was kind of hoping she'd be able to pop in because of course I wanted her to give her perspective on Friday's show and all that.
yeah.
She actually had something very interesting saying on the state of like how people have been talking about diversity of comics and stuff like that particularly with
Yeah.
the women you know and how they're portrayed. Well, she had an interesting comment. I don't know if you caught any of the show Friday or not, but
I caught a little bit of it. I
yeah.
was in that near the end, if you remember.
Okay. Yeah. So you might have heard what she had to say about it then, because I think it was.
I don't think I heard it. When I came in, you were sort of explaining something to her that she had asked about. I can't
Oh
remember
yeah,
what.
like she had asked about how I got how I got into comics basically, or what how my interest developed in comics. Yeah.
Ah,
And I'm at that tricky point of the day here. 5 o'clock here on the West Coast here. I'm at that tricky point of the day where the sun's going down. It's still bright, but that at some point you gotta decide, you gotta make the decision at some point where you gotta step away and turn on the turn on the light in your room because because
Yeah.
the sun's going down. But yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so well, Rick, why? Okay, I'm going to need to step away from the computer again for a quick moment. Sometimes certain things happen. But anyways, if you while I'm gone, if you want to introduce yourself, share links,
Yeah.
talk about any projects you're doing and the like, I'll be right back.
Well, for those that don't know, I'm Rick Piper of Cross Comics, as you might have deduced from Mike calling me Rick and seeing Cross Comics on my uh, label for name. Um, right now, I have my comic Snowdrift #1 and Canadian Shield 2 up on Indiegogo. It's in demand for probably another few weeks. I'm hoping the printing will be starting this week on those. So that is good. And of course, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube here. I have a show once a week at this point, um, just to chill stream, talk, draw up a couple of my characters, and the like. So, you know, nothing too spectacular. Uh, and I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I don't know what. Well, yeah, like I said, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I got my comic. I'm inking some pages from Timothy Olson's comic Melvin. What else am I doing? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Working on my Snowdrift 2, coloring it, working on inking and all that, penciling and inking my Canadian Shield 3, and Mike is back.
Well, go ahead and finish up what you were saying.
What else? Working on remastering my Canadian Shield 1 and another guy named Dark Conversation. I'm doing up his comic for him.
All right. So, and as I said, don't forget to share your link in the chat so
Yeah.
that people um can see that. Um, yeah. So there are a few. There were a few things that caught my attention this past week. I don't know if you had heard about this, but you may not know the name Camus. I think Cameron Johnson. I guess Cameron is how you pronounce his first name. Cameron Johnson, who is an actor who played Luke Fox, Batwing on, and here's of course is Rick's link right there.
Yeah, that's to my Indiegogo.
Yeah, so um,
Did he play him on
he was
Batgirl?
Batwing. Well, he's apparently
Oh,
doing his own comic,
okay.
some kind of horror comic. I reported on it this past week. It's just that, yeah, maybe I should go see if I can go find it. It was a few days ago.
Was he the one that played Lucius Fox on Batwoman?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I believe that's who he played. Yeah, I think they did. Okay.
Because it had Batwing in a few different things, but I think that's the only live action. I never seen him become Batwing in that in Batwoman. I didn't watch it far enough. I stopped watching it somewhere mid second season,
Oh yeah,
and that's not even because of how bad it was. It was just
yeah. Well,
I stopped watching most of the CW superhero shows at that point.
yeah. Well, I found the article I was I reported on, so I'll kind of show you it.
Uh-huh.
But and I reported on this the other day. So basically, this was the article I reported on. So Batwing actors new. Now it's kind of funny. It's almost like Batwing slash Batwoman. They almost seem to use that interchangeably. But Batwing actors new comic combines combat sports and video games exclusive preview. CBR presents an exclusive preview of Tower Number One. So that's the name of his book, Tower. Uh,
Uh-huh.
the first chapter in a new sci-fi comic book series written by Batwoman star um, Camrus. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Camrus. Camrus Johnson.
Okay.
So I won't reread the whole thing, but just a couple. Batwing actor Camrus Johnson's new comic book series Tower is about to launch and promises readers a unique blend of science fiction, combat sport, and video games. Kind of, very interesting. CBR has an exclusive preview of Tower Number One, courtesy of publisher A Wave Blue World. So, and apparently he's working. Johnson is working with his co-writer Kelsey Barnhart, artist Chris Cross, colorist Andrew Dalhouse, and letterer Darren Bennett, with a cover by Chris Cross and Dalhouse. So
Uh,
that's at least some. So you hadn't heard about that though, right? I take it.
No. I don't know nothing about the actor, except for the role that he played, so I don't know what to
Right.
make of him doing his own comic book. He's
Well,
paid to
we've
do
had
a
a
role,
number over the
so,
last couple of years. Of course, we've had a number of we've had a few actors and celebrities from other media um, venturing into that realm.
yeah.
Of course, Keanu Reeves with his Berserker title. We know Eric July, aka Young Ripper 59, with ISOM. So we
Yeah, but with I don't know much about the first guy. I know the name and all that, but Eric July, at least he was a comic book fan and all that first. I don't
wait.
know how much.
You don't know who Keanu Reeves is?
I know who Keanu Reeves is, but I don't know, how much of a comic book fan he is, if you will.
Well,
So
I think his book was called Berserker, but it was spelled like
yeah,
BZRK or something like that. It's
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and from
He's
my
been
understanding, that book actually did pretty successful. I think he had I don't know if he had an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter.
or
So
whatever. But yeah, I know the actor, obviously I don't know offhand his political leanings or anything like that. So and I don't know whether that would affect quote unquote his writing if he wrote it, you know.
mhm.
So I don't want to judge a book that I know nothing about.
Right, that's
You know,
understandable. But
and know very little about the actor. Yeah, sure, I know that he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He was in The Matrix, and he's
mhm,
been in a whole bunch of other stuff, movies that I've liked. You know,
mhm. Yeah,
he's
but
a good actor.
from what I understand, Kevin Smith did a lot of things that a lot of people like, and look how he ended up.
Yeah, there's that too. So I don't know. Like you said, it did good. That wasn't just but I haven't seen any reviews on the. Well, I didn't know he did it, so I didn't even know to look for any reviews. By a bunch of people that you may know and not know. So I'm not. And just with the Batwing actor, yeah, sure, he was in Batwoman, which is a show that I'm not really fond of.
A lot of people weren't fond of it,
Yeah,
hence getting canceled.
yeah, but just because he's in it, he's paid to do a role. He's an actor; he needs work. So I don't know what his book will be like. Hopefully, it'll be good.
Well,
Is all.
I mean, it doesn't sound like anything overly controversial. I mean, a blend of sci-fi, combat sports, and video games. So maybe it's maybe it's some kind of isekai thing or
Yeah,
something like that. Isekai is of course a style of Japanese manga anime in which you get transported to another world kind of thing.
yeah.
Um,
But I don't know if there's any SJW. Obviously, neither of us knows whether there's any
well, yeah,
SJW
I
stuff
said,
in it or not.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, so.
and unless I'd be up to taking a look at it. If
Mhm.
somehow I got a chance.
Oh yeah, and also on that, I noticed just before they're still doing Buffy comics, right? Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics. Those are
Well,
still
I
out
I knew they did for a bit. I wasn't sure. I knew they started them. Wasn't sure whether
there.
they were still ongoing or not. But
Well,
it
yeah.
doesn't
Now
surprise me either
I'm
way.
not sure if it's Boom. I think it's Boom Studios that's doing it, where it's years after the TV series.
Yeah,
It's set in the universe of the TV series, um,
yeah,
and it's set years after like the end of so they're all basically older, and it's almost like some kind of apocalyptic thing or something like that
yeah.
going
That's
on.
a newer version too,
Yeah,
because I do remember them doing a Buffy season whatever
right.
that comic years
Well,
ago.
over the years, now of course Dell and back in the old days, back in the golden age and into the early silver age, companies like Dell Comics and Gold Key Comics would of course take and other companies like Charlton, all that would take licensed product, licensed media, like some Hanna Barbera stuff. Even Dark Shadows got a comic book, and
Yeah,
they would publish the comic adaptations of these properties. So,
yeah,
well, and as you know,
different
like
company.
Marvel does, Marvel over the years has done the Transformers. I think IDW was more recently doing like GI Joe and Transformers until those deals ran up and the,
Yeah,
the
they went woke, so the people that owned their stuff took it away from them.
right,
I have a
because it
lot
wasn't
of
making money.
yeah. I took a lot. Actually, I have like probably 80 to 90% of the original Transformers series by Marvel.
Hmm.
So that's pretty good, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I have like a bunch of the maybe if not most of the IDW or Dreamwave Transformers, a few different incarnations after Marvel.
Yeah. So it's just we had more people here. We'd keep the conversation going a little.
Yeah, we got to think of more things to talk about because there's less people. More
Yeah, I know.
people.
Well, I mean, I always have an idea in my head. It's just a matter. Okay, do I want to bring it up like sooner rather than late? Because there are a few things that
Yeah,
obviously I was thinking about bringing up for tonight. So I
yeah.
find it. It's just that you know
Depends on how long we go on a topic, which depends on a lot of ways how many people are
yeah.
here.
So yeah. So well, one of the other, and we kind of touched upon this last week, and particularly Tommy and I had touched upon it. The metal touched upon it. So if you remember from
Yeah,
our conversation last week, I'd mentioned that Steve Bloom, a pretty well known.
yeah.
Um,
Hey, Metal's here in the chat, and
yeah,
Soup Zenu, and hello to Soup Zenu.
Hey Tommy, if you wanna, I think I sent you the link, so sent you the StreamYard link. So if you want to, um, pop in and join us in the conversation, actually we're, um, yeah. But Rick, you may remember from last week, when we were talking. Yeah, I start towards the end there. I had mentioned that Steve Bloom had come out in support of one of the episodes of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think vaguely I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, where they were talking about reparations and stuff like that. Well, even though I haven't reported on this follow up article yet. I probably won't until Tuesday here. But apparently, because I was looking over some articles from Mounting into Comics, and it apparently doubled down on that. Apparently doubled down on that on this stance there.
Stance.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's typical left thing to do, I guess. How the best way to put it. Double down. Although in some ways it's typical person thing to do. A lot of people, even when they're wrong, they double down or whatever. Not just the left, but even the right can do it. It also.
mhm. Yeah, I wasn't gonna necessarily report on it until Tuesday. I mean, I would have reported on it if I had 3 or 4 stories on Thursday or something like that when it initially came out. I probably would have reported
Yeah.
on it then, but
Yeah.
it was the only story, so I just I'll just save it for another day. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but I guess I could bring it up. I could bring that particular article up now, and we can kind of go over it. You and I, and if Tommy decides to join us, you know,
Yeah.
um, we can go over that now. I guess since since we let me see.
Yeah.
I'll find that, and then we'll kind of.
Uh,
I know it's from. I think it was from Thursday. You know, Wednesday or Thursday, because. Yeah. As I said, I'm just. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Found it. All right. So we can kind of go over this, and this will give us something to talk about here for. Um,
for a few
and,
seconds.
yeah. Well, I mean, well, we can just go over it. Um, and again, if anybody as we're reading this, if anything catches your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions as well. Um, and hopefully, um, Metal might choose to join us in here as well, because I know he had some interesting things to say about it. So as soon as I can get over to this. All right, so here's the art. Voice actor Steve Bloom doubles down on support for Disney's reparations call, exposes his own ignorance regarding current state of political activism. Article by Spencer Baculi, published. Actually, it was on the 15th, so it was last Wednesday. But over those two
Yeah.
days, there wasn't a whole lot of stories that were.
Yeah. Most of these people are ignorant of the facts.
All right, so here we go. Prolific voice actor Steve. Now, I don't know. You've heard the name Steve Bloom before, right, Rick?
Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay.
Can't recall what he's actually done, but from the
Well,
first
I'm,
picture, it
I
looks like
can
he's done
remind,
Wolverine.
yeah, yeah. Well, Wolverine is one of them, and some of the more recent X-Men cartoons. Um, like Wolverine and the X-Men. He's Wolverine in that. Also among some of his, because he's been around for the last 25, 30 years voice acting, even maybe even a little longer, maybe even closer to 40. But among some of his more well-known roles include a number of roles in Naruto, including Orochimaru, Zabuza, Momochi, the third Tsuchikage. Um, let's see. He was Roger Smith and Big O. If you ever saw Big O before. Um,
Don't think so.
yeah. Big O is a kind of a mecha anime, kind of a post, Paradigm City. All that was on Toonami way back, or on Adult Swim Toonami way back when, as it were. Um, so let's see. Just he's been in a lot of things though.
Yeah.
Those are the things that come most mine off the top of my head. But anyways, so let's continue on here. Um, let's see. All right. Let's see. Prolific voice actor Steve Bloom has doubled down on his support for Disney's recent call for black reparations, and in the process exposed his own ignorance regarding the full extent of the concepts being pushed by his ideological allies.
Of course.
As previously reported, the man behind such iconic English voice roles as Cowboy Bebop Spike Spiegel, so there's another one, I forgot about
Uh,
him, Naruto's Orochimaru, and Marvel's Wolverine, across various media threw his hat into the debate on reparations in response to a recent episode of the company's Disney Plus exclusive revival, The Proud Family Louder and Prouder.
and of
Now,
course, probably
I
nobody
did watch
asked.
the original Proud Family, and that was a pretty good one. But
Yeah.
I've heard that this one is total, like, I've heard this spin-off here, or
Yeah.
whatever, is total BLM Antifa propaganda.
And of course, probably nobody asked him to throw his hat into the ring and comment on this, at all. Nobody really cares what his opinion is.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people in, he's based here in Southern California, out of Hollywood. Does a
Yeah.
lot of work for Bang Zoom, and a lot of them. Not every one of them, but
Yeah.
I do know some people in the voice acting community who you might be a little bit more conservative. They're just not as outspoken on things, but
Yeah.
Steve Bloom
It's
is definitely a lefty. You
Yeah,
know,
but see, there's one thing to be a lefty or whatever and be doing, a star like this. And unfortunately, most of the stars do this. They weigh in on this stuff where nobody is really asking them to. Okay, maybe a couple fans might for whatever dumb reason, you know.
hmm
Well, keep it to what where your fans are to tell your
yeah.
fans that
Well,
are
well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Rick. Part of the reason they do this is the way they look at it is because they have a platform, because they
yeah,
do reach a lot of these fans as as voice actors. A lot of these, when they go to
yeah,
particularly when they go to convention and all that, they figure since they have this forum to use, they
yeah,
figure they will hopefully help to quote unquote enlighten people to their point of view, and maybe people
yeah,
will wish to follow their point of view. Even when
yeah,
I mean, well, you heard when Tommy and I were talking last week on here, when the Metal and I were talking last week here,
yeah,
I pointed this out to him that Steve's initial comment, um, when I was pointing that out, he said, yeah, it's too bad, because he is a good voice actor, and he is a good voice actor.
yeah.
But yeah, as you said, nobody really asked for his political opinion, and that's like that's probably one way that a lot of actors can really shoot themselves in the foot, in a sense, because by giving your opinion on stuff like this, you're in essence probably alienating about half of your fan base.
Yeah.
You're
Eh,
basically
eh,
telling them that if you don't agree with me, or you don't think the way I do, I could care less then.
yeah. And I get that he has a right to speak out, speak his mind on any subjects, like any of us technically.
Hmm.
But and maybe he will alienate some people, maybe he won't. It's hard to tell sometimes. Some
Hmm.
people, they like Naruto or whatever, and they'll just keep watching no matter what. You know, but some
And
people will stop watching because
yeah.
you know they
or
set.
or 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 they may just watch and not like go to but then because of these type of situations too, I'm reminded of something that's been said quite a lot, I think, over the past couple of years here, and you probably heard this saying too. That's why you don't meet your heroes.
Yeah,
You heard that, right? You
yeah.
know, now, granted, I wouldn't say that voice actors, would equate to hip being heroes, but you get kind
Well,
of get
not
what
to
I'm.
probably not to you or me, but to some people.
Yeah,
I can see them being somewhat of a hero in somebody's eyes.
right.
Just like the comic thing. Like Alex Ross. Because he's so good. In some ways, I'd like to become like him for drawing and all that. I know I never will be, but I'm gonna work towards it. You know,
Yeah.
So in a sense, he's a hero. He is, but he isn't a hero of mine. Just
Hmm.
I hold him in high esteem. I guess I could say maybe
Yeah.
not hero, but high esteem.
All right. So, anyways, let's continue on and see what more has been said about this situation from him and from the article here. Therein, Penny and her friends performed a slam poetry number calling for black people to receive some sort of payment from the United States government as an apology for their being the victims of the once legal practice of chattel slavery. Here's one of the biggest problems I have with all this. It's this victimhood mentality.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. You've
I'm
never.
white, and I know of a lot. I know of a lot of people, a lot of black people who make more money than I do.
Yeah,
You know, they continue the some of these people just continually play this victimhood, and it's like, and they expect they can get away with murder because well, I can't be held responsible for my bad behavior because my ancestor was a slave, so therefore I'm entitled to behave badly, or be
yeah,
have
yeah.
reparations or what have you.
But should but my question is, okay, even if you maybe agreed with this, which I don't, should reparation be given to the black drug dealer in the hood?
Hmm.
Because he's just going to use it to buy drugs and sell drugs or buy
Yeah,
guns
that's another good
illegally,
point.
or any, well, since we're
Now look
talking
at
black.
that face right there. Now, supposedly Penny Proud's about 13, 12, 13, 14 years old, right around there. Look at how mean she looks there.
Yeah.
You see that?
Frankly, I don't. Yeah. Frankly, though, I look at that and I don't even see a 13 or 14-year-old. Maybe it's because of the style or whatever, but that looks like a grown person there in that picture
Hmm.
to me, anyways.
But she could be a little older. I was thinking 12, 13, 14, um,
Okay.
but that discussion we can have another day.
Yeah.
um, okay, replying to Twitter user at End Wokeness. That's a nice Twitter handle, isn't it? End Wokeness.
Yeah.
Opinion that the segment was, quote, blatant anti-white propaganda, and we covered a little bit of this last week too. We talked a little bit about this too. I covered the previous story here. Blum combatively asserted in a February 8th tweet, quote, I'm white and a voice actor who will probably never work on this show for the most excellent of reasons. Your tweet is blatantly racist. Um, I wouldn't agree with that.
You'll never work on the show because you're white. Well, what's that got to do with thing? You're the show calls for a voice, not a look.
Yeah,
The
but
the looks are drawn.
this goes back to one of the other things we've been talking about for the last couple weeks here. There are those in the voice acting community, particularly in Hollywood,
Yeah,
who have been saying that. Remember, I brought this up when we were talking about The Witch from Mercury, right? About
yeah,
how some of those voice actors are going off on like the two girls who got cast in those roles
yeah.
because there's been this call that um that
And then to say, well, if you want equality, which they don't anymore, it's equity. Shouldn't they put some white person on this show? Shouldn't he be able to, voice the white person on the show?
well, it also again it kind of also goes back to one of the examples I gave with Jameson Price, another longtime well-known
Yeah,
um, voice actor who, of course, was known. One of his roles was as Chad from Bleach, the English voice of Chad from Bleach. The only thing was that he had decided to step away from the role when they when they were doing
read.
Thousand Year Blood War arc, which is going on right now, um, because he wanted to give somebody who was of quote unquote Mexican Japanese descent a chance to do that role instead of him. Because Jameson Price is white. So uh, continuing on here, quote, your anti woke rhetoric is dangerous and divisive, unquote. He added, quote, I full throatedly support Disney Plus at the Proud Family and all of my colleagues for doing this, unquote. And the thing is, and I even pointed out now this is all stuff from the original article on this too. But
Yeah.
when I was covering the original article, I pointed out, well, no, actually, it's woke the woke stuff that's actually dangerous and divisive. So, I mean, I've said this before. I would think that if Martin Luther King Jr. Was alive right now and seeing all that's going on right now, he'd be rolling over in his grave.
Oh yeah. Martin
Because
Luther King
if
is.
you remember the have a if you remember the
Yeah.
I have a dream speech,
I
from
don't
one
know it in full, word for word, but I know the gist of it.
right.
That
He,
we can
he,
all
he
get
talked about
along.
he talked about little white boys and girls, and little black boys and girls being hand
Yeah,
in hand with each other, not
at each other's throats.
right. So okay, so in light of his disingenuous attack, Bloom's response would subsequently go on to be covered by Bounding the Comics on February 13th. I do remember that article. I covered that article with site editor and the article's author, and this article's author, Spencer McCooley, recapping the full exchange and its context on the site's readers in a piece headlined, quote, prolific voice actor Steve Bloom endorses the Proud Family Louder and Prouder reparation call, says anti-woke rhetoric is dangerous and divisive. And I would argue, no, it's actually the woke rhetoric
Yeah,
is dangerous and divisive. Um, this article would draw a number of critical replies from readers, with many disappointed that an individual was responsible for bringing to life many of their favorite characters would so happily buy into such divisive rhetoric. What say you, Rick, on that statement right there, on that paragraph?
yeah. Well, I liked it. Well, I liked the. Obviously, I didn't know at the time. I know now that he did the voice of Wolverine and the X Men, and I enjoyed that cartoon with the voicing of Wolverine. And yeah, you know I don't think it would stop me from watching the cartoon, but you know, I don't, like I said,
Well,
I
okay.
watch cartoons to watch
To
cartoons.
clear something up, yes, he voiced Wolverine. The specific cartoons that he voiced Wolverine in were, I believe, Wolverine in the X-Men, Super Marvel Superhero Squad. So if you're thinking that he did the voice from the one back in the '90s, he did not do the one back in the
No,
'90s.
no, no. I wasn't thinking the one from the '90s. Wolverine and the X-Men is the one that
Yeah,
had been quoted earlier, or you quoted earlier. So
yeah,
that's what I'm
Wolverine
thinking
and
of.
the X-Men
Uh,
and Super Marvel Superhero Squad. Those are the two I
uh,
know, and then I think he might have been
yeah,
in a few other series.
yeah.
Um,
The Wolverine and the X-Men, where basically Wolverine is like a teacher of the X-Men, and they're all young. Like Scott
no,
Summers.
you're talking about Evolution. That was from
Oh,
2001.
okay.
I'm talking. That one. So that one in X Men Evolution, Wolverine was voiced by Scott McNeil, who
Oh,
also
okay.
voiced Koga in Inuyasha.
I know I watched both cartoons. I'm just confusing which the
Right.
premise of.
Well, because there have been so many over the years, and in
Yeah,
the one from back in the '90s, which was I think dubbed in Toronto, the guy who voiced Wolverine in the '90s X Men animated series, the one from
yeah,
around '92 '97, that was Cal Dodd.
yeah. Which
So
was something that was in conjunction with Spider-Man of the day.
right, right. So, anyways, but yeah, I'd say I'd say you concur with this statement though, that this paragraph right here.
Yeah. Well, I can see. Unfortunately, I can see people believing the rhetoric, but going off and spouting off about it. I can't believe he's dumb enough to do that. I guess.
And there,
But
of course,
then
is
again, the
Spike
lefties
from.
are that dumb, so
Yeah. And there's Spike. There's a picture of Spike from Cowboy Bebop right there.
yeah.
So
And I've watched that, and I thought that was pretty good too.
yeah. One such reader was Twitter user at Fenrir. Fenrir.
Fenair, the
Yeah.
Ice Woe one.
Fenrir the Ice Woe One, who retweeted BIC's tweet sharing the article in question and lamented, quote, sigh, and just like that, another one turns to manure in my eyes. I won't use the other word. I'll just find a euphemism. You know that, Rick.
Yeah,
That's one of the benefits about having such an extensive vocabulary, which of course
yeah,
we also see on Fridays when we go back and look over older comics too.
yeah,
Um, so at Fenrir the Ice Woe #1. Okay, yeah, Fenrir I think was a part of the Asgardian mythos. Like
yeah,
um, tweet would soon draw an agreeing response from fellow Twitter user at ChrisChanBoy2, um, who opined, quote, how can a guy voice so many of my favorite characters yet be so oh God. Uh, my life is a lie.
The problem is your life isn't a lie. You're you're thinking just because this guy reads these characters, he agrees with everything they say. No, it's a job to him to get paid
Right.
to live. You know, so he's voicing all your favorite characters just to get paid.
Yeah, but and even I believed at one time that you know, for these actors to get these roles, they must have had to embody something about the character. But you learn after a while that that may not always be the case. But
Yeah, but that's like believing, somebody that has to play a certain guy from the '40s in a World War II in a movie. Has something in him of that guy from the '40s during
okay,
World War II.
yeah. So as we're going on, so Deciding for an unspecified reason to reply to this exchange out of the dozens generated by founding in the comics' initial tweet, Bloom then interjected to defensively swing. Quote, teaching actual history so evil repeated is not repeated is cupped. So you support the ignorance and hate fueled by book banning. What's the MAGA buzzword for that?
Well, that's conflating two different topics.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
get
I mean, okay, I know that Steve Bloom, along with his significant other, Mary Elizabeth and Glenn, they are, now I've met them both, and when I met them, they seemed cool to me. And then, like a few years, about 2, 3 years ago, when
yeah,
Trump became president, I started seeing some of Mary McGlynn's tweets against Trump. I
yeah,
realized, okay, she's hard left too. And Mary
yeah.
Elizabeth McGlynn,
But
just so you know, she's a voice actor and ADR director, and some of her more well known roles include Kurenai Yuhi from Naruto. Um,
yeah,
you know,
the problem here is they're not teaching actual history. They leave a lot out, and the fact, even if they quote unquote were reparations, is something different than the actual history. Should people get reparation for how maybe their ancestor was treated? Because maybe a black person didn't have an ancestor that was treated badly. Should
well,
they get representation?
I do know um, that here in California, there was some property that was just recently given back to a black family because it was supposedly taken away from them like a long time ago. You
Okay,
know,
maybe
but
that's all right. But what I'm more talking about is, you know, Joe, Jane Smith, or Joe Blow, you know, can you prove that their ancestor actually got hurt or whatever? Something bad actually happened to them while they were a slave, or that they were a slave.
mm,
And so if Joe Blow doesn't is black and doesn't have a family that had anything bad to happen to them, do they get reparations? I shouldn't
mm.
think so. It should just be,
I mean,
if it's going to be.
as we've talked about, the whole woke agenda is dangerous and divisive. It's not
Yeah,
anti woke it's woke that is dangerous and divisive. All
yeah,
right, so going on with the article here,
yeah.
taken aback by his accosting, at Chris Chan Boy 2 replied, "quote I didn't mention books, but since you did, when it comes to things like this being in bleeping grade uh, in bleeping grade schools, yes, I'm okay with book banning." And I think what Chris Chan there is talking about is exposing little kids to certain things that they should not be exposed to.
Yeah.
You know, that I think is what he's talking about. Alongside his tweet, at Chris Chan Boy 2 shared an excerpt from Maya Kobabe's graphic novel Genderqueer, a Memoir, a book regularly stocked in grade school libraries and recommended to children, wherein Kobabe offers an explicit language filled recount of their first sexual experience with a strap on sex toy. Really?
That is just raw.
Really? You're going to include in a library for kids a book that explicitly talks about a sexual experience with a strap-on sex toy.
Yeah. Well, not that I
What
would agree.
in the
Not
world is wrong with you? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying
Now,
you specifically, but you know,
yeah.
I'm sure you have
Now,
the
now,
same
my,
reaction.
my my only question, of course, is, and not that it's right for any of these grades for this that to be in, but
Mhm.
what does he mean by grade school? 1 through 5? Does that mean up to 8? Does that mean high school? Those could be technically considered grade schools
Well,
because they're grades.
I think most people when they say grade school, they mean elementary school.
Yeah, they think of
That's,
one through
that's
five.
the
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because usually most people would if you know um I think most
uh,
people generally, when they hear the word grade school, it's 1 through 5. It's basically elementary. Because
yeah,
usually they will make the distinction between like junior high, high school, and all that.
yeah.
So,
And like I said, I'm most likely sure it is the 1 through 5. And like I also said, I don't even think there should be in a high school really either.
yeah.
So, but
Well, that's another discussion for another day,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
But anyways, um, let's let's continue. Oh,
Oh, quick, 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 go down, 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 quick, quick, get through it. I don't want to see it.
yeah, I realize that. Uh, all right. However, this response would lead Bloom to reveal his own woeful ignorance of the current state of political activism, so much so that, if confirmed, it wouldn't be a stretch to believe that he regularly receives all of his information from only the most partisan left-wing outlets. Quote, "That's just porn," unquote, the voice of Final Fantasy VIII's pre-remake
7.
Vincent Valentine denied in return. So, pre-remake Vincent Valentine. So there's another one for you, Rick. Well, I don't know. Final Fantasy VIII is more of a video game. So I don't know if you played
Yeah,
that.
that's 5. That's 7, not 8.
Oh, seven.
Final Fantasy. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
there's
My
only two
eyes.
lines.
Yeah. Quote, "Not at all what we're talking about. Is this from your collection? Should never be in a school."
It
Unquote.
is in school, so he was just saying, you moron.
Quote,
I think you're gonna have to move quick through this next part.
yeah. Quote, "That is the book Genderqueer," unquote, explained at Chris Chan Boy 2. Quote, "That is one of the books that people are up in arms about being in elementary school." So there's your clarification right there.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
right. Elementary schools.
yeah,
Look into it. See how you're being lied to. Unquote.
and of course,
And I did try to zoom by there, but actually that picture didn't seem quite as bad though. So
yeah, not quite as graphic.
yeah. Offering one final comment on the situation before exiting the conversation, Bloom declared, "quote, I wouldn't want my young kids reading anything explicitly sexual." Well, at least he got some sense. Quote, "Orientation doesn't matter," unquote, he concluded. Quote, "We were talking about whitewashing history."
No, no, we weren't. You were talking
Nope.
about reparations.
Nope. Yep. Again, and then that's the end of the article. So
And,
I
and you
agree.
brought up book, and he brought up book banning, so or banning slash burning. So you know, the guy
So
went on with the topic.
so I was going to cover that on Tuesday, but I guess today would be good to kind of cover that and at least have somebody with me here to cover it with. So, and if anybody, as I said, if anybody in the chat has anything you'd like to add to the conversation, feel free to do so or ask questions. Hey,
Hey, Shadow Hawk.
hey, all! Just got done with Shadow. What's up? Well, we just went over an article in regards to voice actor Stephen Bloom doubling down on his support for the reparations episode of Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. Um, Um, I mean, if you, I sent you the link earlier, so if you want to come in and join us as well in the studio here, and talk a bit, I'm more than welcome to. Um, yeah, but basically we found, basically we just pretty much found out just how ignorant Steve Bloom is when it comes to political activism. Um, and then Rick, I'll let you read that one because that's directed at you.
Shadow says, "Hail, Cross Comics!" Boom! I think it's
Yeah.
a boom. And that's
So,
fireworks, whatever.
Shadowhawk, if I don't know if you have kids or not, Shadowhawk, but how would you feel if something like a book called Genderqueer was in your kid's school library?
Yeah, and had some
And it had
girl showed a girl giving some guy a blowjob in it. Although cartoon eyes, but still. That's just
yeah,
wrong.
give okay. So I think Shadowhawk is gonna, because I just saw his comment right there. It said that
Yeah,
he was gonna join us in a second, so maybe he'll be able to answer us on the air here.
yeah.
So yeah, so yeah. Oh, and you guys might want to subscribe to Shadowhawk's channel because I don't know if you heard about this, Rick, but Rex got busted by YouTube. You know, he's been on their naughty list, as it were, and so he's been having to do his show on
Yeah.
Shadowhawk's channel now.
Yeah, it's just gotta make sure. I don't know what he
Oh,
got
Mike, where
busted
did
for.
Facebook? Facebook, Shadowhawk. Facebook. I sent it via Facebook Messenger. So
Yeah, I'm already subscribed to his
yeah.
channel. So I'm not sure what Re- anybody. What did Rex will ask
Well,
Shadowhawk when he
from what
comes
I
on?
found out, I talked to him yesterday about this. So apparently, he gave his opinion on the 2020 election,
Oh yeah,
and apparently
they don't
they
like
kind of
that.
they put a
Well,
suspended him for a week.
or correction, they don't like it when your opinion is on a certain side
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and saying certain things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they, you know, you can't have an opinion on it unless your opinion is their opinion.
Right.
So I guess he's just got to make sure he doesn't say that on Shadowhawks or
Yeah.
his
Well,
when he comes
I
back
didn't.
on.
What's kind of funny, I didn't even know about it until I realized I wasn't getting a notification from his channel on it, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so were you able to find it yet? Shadowhawk.
I
I
guess
mean,
he said, "What did you send the link? Did you just see that
no,
or
oh no, I didn't.
that's in the chat?" He said Facebook to your Facebook account, Shadow, whatever that is, where you know Mike from on there.
Yeah, I'll copy it here again and then resend the link. Well, I know you got it because you replied back thanks to me earlier. So, um, okay, I'm sending the link again, so you should get it again here. Since
Facebook Messenger. I'm gonna take.
I just sent it to you again on your Facebook Messenger.
I'm gonna go grab a sip of something to drink. I'll be back in a
All
short
right.
bit, probably less than a minute.
All right. Hmm. So as we're waiting for Rick to come back, and also waiting to see if Shadowhawk will join us. Yeah. So So basically, that's the problem sometimes with leftists. Oh, there we go. There he is. As soon as I can. Hey, Shadowhawk.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Not much. You're finally here.
Sorry, man. Technical difficulties, man. It didn't want to let me in. This thing was fighting me, man.
Well, I sent you the link again, but I sent you the link this morning, so you
Yeah,
should be able to.
it was just I don't think I've ever done the StreamYard link from Facebook before, so it kind of like it I did something wrong. I don't know. So I had to do it
You're
like
still
two
getting
or
used
three
to it.
times.
I know you're hosting Rector's show on your channel now. Hey Terry.
Oh yeah, dude. Bro, I've had such a deep immersion into trying to learn how to do all this crap in the last week. Cause I've only ever been Rex's co-host, man. I've never hosted a show. I've never done a live
You never had
stream.
to do
None of
some
that,
of the more technical stuff. You just
dude. Man, it's like the last 4 days have been like freaking boiling in oil. You know, it's
yeah,
like
and I just explained to Rick what happened.
it,
So
it's been fun though, man. I've been having fun, and I got a lot of new subscribers. So thanks everybody very much. Please come by Shadowhawk Talk, check me out.
Yeah.
Uh, I got a lot of new content planned. I haven't been doing stuff. Um,
But the reason he got banned is the reason why we need to start going to places like Rumble, where you don't have to watch your speech like that.
exactly.
for
Yes,
me, it's more
you're
the technical
exactly right.
aspects of it. That's only. I mean, I do have a. I do have a link to Rumble and all that, but I just haven't done anything with it because I'm just more used to
Have you
doing it.
linked your
Well, I mean,
YouTube with it?
No, I didn't. I don't even know how to really.
Well, maybe when we're done tonight, I can show you off air.
Well, maybe if,
all
but
right.
I
Is
don't know
that
if I have
Cross
the
or
time
Mighty
for it
Geek?
right now.
Because I can't.
It's me talking about Rumble because I got an account over at Rumble. I've got like 176 subs over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we have a couple of new
So
people
so
on
how
with
do
us.
you feel about them though? I mean, they advertise themselves as kind of like a no censorship
Yeah,
platform.
I found them pretty good. I did some live
Have
streams
you
over there.
have you tried to test them at all?
Probably not much myself, but
Okay.
news source says I listen to Rebel News, which is right wing, if you will, right wing
Yeah,
conservative.
yeah.
They
I
s-
know
they
that one.
talk about all these different subjects over there, and nothing's happened to them.
Really?
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
That's cool.
we have
Okay.
we have a couple of you guys in here, newer guys in Shadowhawk and Terry from Mighty. So what I want to do, Shadowhawk, you want to introduce yourself, share any links, talk about your channel or any projects you want to do, and of course, feel free to. Well, see, let me double check something here
Uh
before.
dude, I would
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
love
Shadowhawk's
to.
got a wrench.
you have a rent, so if you want to share
Yeah,
your links as well, go for it. So
unfortunately, guys, I'm on my phone and I don't know how to like
Uh,
drop links and stuff like that. I will end up kicking
I'll, I'll,
myself
I'll
off the stream.
I'll get your link and
So,
share it
all
for
right,
you.
thank you. I appreciate it if somebody else could drop my link. Anyway, I'm
yeah.
Shadowhawk Talks. Uh, I am a collector since the early 70s who fell out of love with comics in about the year 2000 because I got sick of all the bullshit going on. And then in 2018, I had a serious injury and I spent almost a year off work. And I had nothing to do but be online, and I rediscovered Ethan Van Sciver, the
Hmm.
guy who back in 1995 had put out Cyber Frog, which I love. Just a few years before I quit collecting comics. So I got back into comic books and I discovered Comic Gate and all the shit that was going on in the comics world and all this crazy political, just
Hmm.
ridiculous shit. Why can't we just tell good stories and have fun? Isn't that what comic books are? But why do I fucking want to go spend $5.99 on a comic book that's gonna sit around and show me a bunch of girls having lunch and then talking about their depressing lives, and then I don't understand what the hell are we doing?
Well,
What has happened to
here's
comic books?
here's a suggestion,
So this
Shadowhawk.
is why I became CG.
Yeah.
This is why I went no. We need to do something different.
Well,
And
here is for those in the chat. Here is Shadowhawk's link that Rick put up for us. I thank you, Rick, for doing that. Um, so there's his link.
thank
I'm
you,
gonna
Rick.
go check out his channel. Um, yeah. So,
You guys
well,
can check out.
my suggestion to you, Shadowhawk, is try to catch my Friday shows because we're going back and we're looking at some very interesting comics from days of old. You know,
Yeah,
and
bro. And I get that, and I appreciate all that. But like for me, at this point in my life,
mhm.
like I I don't have no time. As much as I love Bernie Wrightson and friggin' Art Adams and John Byrne and Terry Austin from back in the day, I'm not going to go spend any money on a Marvel or a DC or an Image project ever again until the day I die. Because
Well,
at this
yeah.
point,
Well, you don't.
I
Well,
am I am
watch,
I am all about
watching my Friday show.
independent.
You don't have to spend money either. But
No, I'm all about
I get what you're
independent
saying. I
creators.
get what you're saying.
I'm not I don't collect Marvel or DC anymore. I'm not gonna go back and buy a fucking slab copy of fucking Spider-Man,
Yeah.
because I want to have it in my it's not gonna happen. Uh, if you go to my channel, you look at my wall, everything that's up here now, everything that's in my comic book collection now that I
Mhm.
care about is all Comicsgate and independent comics from the last
Cool.
4 to 5 years,
One of the
from
first stories we were
2018 until now.
yeah, one of the first stories we were talking about earlier tonight was an independent comic that came out from actor Cameron Johnson, who played Luke Fox on the Batwoman series. He's apparently got the book is called Tower, uh,
Okay.
and apparently it's a book that's a combination sci-fi, video games, and combat sports. So you know. But anyways, speaking of course of my
Okay,
Friday
but I mean,
here, uh,
but what else can you tell me about it, Mike? Is it good?
I haven't read it. I read an article on it, because CBR did a
Oh,
preview of.
okay. So it was just like a teaser type thing.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, speaking of my Friday shows, and of course now my next co-host who will be joining me this Friday. Terry from Mighty Geek Studios is here. If you'd like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about maybe your projects, and of course, share your links in the chat if you wish. Um, go for it.
Well, well, like Shadowhawk, I'm doing this from my phone because it has a better camera.
Yeah.
But right
Okay.
now, I'm going through a lot. I'm going through a lot of researching older characters such as Doc Savage and a few others.
Mhm.
You know, Dude,
Keep,
that's the.
well, keep
I,
going. I didn't, are you finished, or
no,
you want to have
no,
more to say on that?
I have more to say on that. Well, I stopped collecting Marvel and DC in 2005.
Hmm.
That's when I started going back through the back issues.
Hell, brother.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've got a collection of Charlton, Dell, and a few others, and
Yeah.
I'm loving
Uh,
the independence.
yeah. Well, the older
God.
stuff, I can tell you just from my own experience, the older stuff's pretty good too.
Mhm.
Because we've been reading through those. I mean, well, Rick helped me discover something about Marvel, about some of Marvel's early days. Rick, you want to tell them about and while you're doing that, I'll highlight Terry's link.
Okay.
But if you want to tell them about Namor, about your first
well,
impressions of
well, yeah, straight up villain. I thought, like he was part of. I had heard he was part of the Defenders and all that, and back then, and I know nowadays he's more of an anti-hero or however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, I know he's been an enemy to the Fantastic Four and all that,
He
but
was
I didn't
trying to
expect.
bone the Invisible Woman, man.
Yeah, yeah. But I didn't expect when I read his first story in Marvel Comics back from 1939 that he was going to be a straight up villain. I didn't think they did stories like that back then.
Well, Rick.
Oh yeah,
Here,
dude.
here's something. Here's something else you don't know. There's a character called the Human Torch who was an android who was created just to fight Namor.
Well, actually, we read that read the Human
Yeah.
Torch's story. Uh he wasn't made to fight him, at least according to
Well,
the
the very
story we
first
read.
story on the I'm sure much like with a number of DC characters over the years, their biographies have been adjusted for
Mm,
over time and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
They have.
Plus,
um,
they fought on the same team together, the Defenders, too. I think it was the Defenders.
Uh,
No,
the,
and the Invaders. The Invaders, sorry.
the Human Torch I'm talking about is not Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. That's what
yeah,
I mean.
the Android one.
Yeah.
He was also in Marvel Comics #1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as I know, him, Namor, Captain America, and I think there was a couple others were all on, I think it was the Invaders team or Defenders. I'm not sure which.
It's probably the Invaders because most of these stories took place during World War II. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now before you guys got here, one of the things we were talking
Yeah,
about.
that was Invaders. Sorry, guys. I was.
Yeah.
No problem. So one of the things we were talking about
Inconvenient.
was I'd just gone over an article with Rick prior to you guys joining us in regards to Steve Bloom. I don't know if you guys know who Steve Bloom is.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Voice actor.
Yeah.
Among the voices he's done include Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, the English
Hmm.
voice, mind you.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, Roger
Nah,
Smith from Big O, Orochimaru from Naruto, Wolverine from Wolverine and X Men and Marvel
Yeah.
Super Hero
oh,
Squad.
well, I
But
know him. I know
basically,
him from
No,
Wolverine.
no, from a lot of things.
yeah. But anyways, he recently came out and had some things to say about a recent episode of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And the article
Oh my God.
a sequel to that, as it were, or a follow up, where he apparently doubled down his support for it and got into a bit of an exchange with one of his fans who was calling him out on it. And one of the things they were talking about was a book that
I think it'd be more likely to say his ex fan.
yeah supposedly there's a book that's called Genderqueer
Oh yeah.
that is being put into elementary school libraries.
Yes.
Does anybody else got
And
anything?
now I don't know. If, I know. Let's see. From what I understand, Shadowhawk, you're married, right?
Yes.
Do you have kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
How
dude.
about how about you, Terry?
Not married, no kids, but I have
Okay,
nieces and
so
nephews.
this question is probably more
Yeah.
for Shad.
My
And I
my
did ask
story
this.
goes back a long way, brother.
Yeah, I asked this, and I asked this before you came in, and I don't know if you heard it. So again, how would you feel if you found out that your kids were had access to a book, genderqueer, where they were basically where the book was sexually explicitly showing somebody engaging,
In oral sex.
yeah,
Well, I have to pull
And
my
what
child out
and
of the
what
school.
and what grade is this available in? Like
grade
One
school,
elementary
grade
one
school,
through
school?
five,
elementary
one through
school.
five, kindergarten through 5.
Yeah. That's
I'm
fucked
pulling
up.
my child out of the school.
I would probably end up in jail. Is what would probably fucking
Okay,
happen.
just stop right there. Stop right there. We get it. We
Mhm.
get it. Say
Yeah.
no more. Say no more. We get it.
Yep.
We
Yeah,
most
I
of us,
think
most of
we're
us will
good. I
probably
think
end
we
up in
all
jail.
understand each other.
yeah. I
More than
think
likely for blowing
sure.
up the school.
What was
No,
that?
Ah,
no,
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 no.
no,
I
nothing like
wouldn't do
no.
that. I wouldn't do that.
Jesus,
I
Mm.
just I just simply go into the library, tear up the book.
No, that's not
but
going to
that
stop him from
fucking
replacing it. That's the
librarian,
whole point.
Yeah,
but
but
that
then I go in,
librarian would have a
but
price.
then I go in and rip it up again. And it might because those books cost a lot, unless they're gonna be getting them for free.
Like I said, it's one of those
Because
things that it's going to affect everyone differently. So,
yeah, because I know my public libraries. If you're late and you're say you misplace a book and you can't
Well, that's
return
a
it, they may.
public
that's a public
library.
library. We're
That's
not,
Yeah,
not.
that's
yeah, I know
different
it's
That's
from
not.
a
not
I
school
I don't
library.
think they're talking
elementary
about a public library.
school.
We're talking about
Yeah, yeah,
your
I know, I know, I
school
know.
library.
But let me finish my thing. I know it's not the quite same, but if like say you misplace a book and you can't return it in, you have to pay for the book. They never
Okay.
buy the book with that replacement money.
Of course not.
So it could be something similar.
No, and half
Yeah,
the time they don't even buy the book back anyway. They get the replacement money and they buy something new.
yeah, exactly.
They don't even replace the book that got stolen. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I
So
mean,
I'm just thinking, you tear up the book, it might be something like that.
but this is, but this
Hopefully.
is the way they've been
Mm.
degrading our society for years, dude. They've been
Yeah.
destroying history. They've been destroying stories. They're going back and editing movies. Have you seen what they've done to E.T.?
Yeah.
It,
Well,
No.
I haven't,
it,
but I get what you're saying because I've been hearing
it,
they've been doing that with a lot of
they're
them.
changing fucking history for their
What
own
they
purposes.
what they do with ET?
Dude, they took all the guns out of it. The guys that are chasing ET, the FBI or whatever
Yeah,
the
I
fuck
mean,
they're
the government agents,
they,
they stripped them of all weaponry.
yeah, now they just have radios in their hands. Fucking digitally fucking inserted radios. They're all
What
running
kid's gonna
around with
be scared of a radio?
this.
Mm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
He's got a radio! Run! Oh no, he's
Run
got a radio!
away!
Pile on!
Oh my god. He might want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's gonna get the people with guns with the radio.
It's not. It's not
He's
like that.
stupid as fuck, dude.
But
They did. They did.
as I was going over that article earlier,
Where?
and Rick concurred with me that yeah, that was Stephen Bloom was showing his ignorance there, and it was highlighted. So, um,
It's like, it's just incredible what they're trying to do, and then the way
I'll
they're
tell them
trying to
about it.
paint. they try to change language. You know, you
Oh,
change the
my
meaning.
favorite is they're trying to change the Spanish language,
Well, you
which is
change the meaning of a word, right? And then you just like it. It's like fucking what Stalin said. If you tell somebody a lie enough times, it becomes the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
if you have
Well,
the
it doesn't become the
entire
truth, but they think it's the truth.
well, if you have the entire mainstream media behind you, pounding your message into people's heads every
Yeah.
fucking day, then it becomes the truth, doesn't
No, it doesn't become the truth. If they believe it's the truth, there's difference because the
it? It
truth is,
becomes what people believe, though.
yeah, that I agree with, but because
No, yeah,
you
okay,
could,
Okay,
I
guys,
got you there. Yeah,
yeah,
you're getting into an
technically, yeah,
argument of
it's
semantics here. You're getting
it's
in,
certainly not the truth. No, I get you there, but
yeah,
it becomes what people will believe is the truth,
right.
yeah.
yeah. But then you've got
and
to
and and
open their
therein
eyes
lies
to that
right
it's not the
therein
truth.
lies the problem because that's how you know fucking the Holocaust happened and all kinds of other horrible things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because it usually starts off with some fucking lie that someone believes.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
And that's
anyways,
the way it goes.
I want to move on to another topic
All
here.
right, I'm sorry. I
Um,
All
didn't
right.
mean to
no, that's
bring
okay.
the channel down. Sorry.
I encourage conversation, Shadowhawk.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
The one thing I do ask generally though is if you can keep the swearing to a minimum. That would be I know I know sometimes even I'll get lose it a little bit and I may splurt out or something. But if you can try to minimize the swearing, that would be appreciated. Just because we don't want people just thinking we're just you know
All right,
people.
I will do my best for you, Mike. I'm a bit of a sailor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Mm,
Just be
I was a sailor.
mindful. That's all I'm asking. Okay.
I'm gonna tell
Anyway,
you.
Uh,
I'm gonna
um,
tell you this. I was a sailor.
yeah.
So
Well, I almost
all right,
became one in the Navy,
I
man,
guess I
but
wasn't
they
a
just
very
saw
good
that and took
one
my
then,
club
huh?
foot.
Is that what you're
Anyways,
saying?
I want to move on to something else. As one
Wow.
other interesting piece of news that happened this past week in the world of professional wrestling, Jerry Jarrett passed
mhm.
away on the 14th. Now, Jerry Jarrett, most people would know him primarily as the father of Jeff Jarrett, but in his own right, he was also a former professional wrestler and promoter, booker promoter. He passed away at the age of 80 after having been suffering from esophageal cancer for a while.
Oh,
Cancer of the esophagus, basically. Um, so his wrestling career started in 1965, and then in 1972, he became the booker for the Memphis portion of the Mid America NWA Mid America territory under Nick Gulas. And then as he built the Memphis territory around Jerry Lawler, the king of Memphis, he and Jerry got together and withdrew from the Mid America territory and basically started their own. Basically took the Memphis territory and made it their own. Calling it Continental Wrestling Association. They did maintain a minimal affiliation to the NWA and also became an AWA affiliate. Now, as a booker and promoter, he was responsible. He was said to have been done a lot of some of the innovations, like the idea of utilizing entrance themes for wrestlers, doing skits over matches on TV and all that.
mhm.
But basically, Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler were had basically been the main promotion team in Memphis from 1977 up to 1995 when he retired. And then Jerry Jarrett came back for a little while in 2002 when Jeff started up total nonstop action. So, just now during his wrestling career, he primarily wrestled in Tennessee and Georgia,
Yeah.
those territories. So, he passed away this past Tuesday at the age of 80. Um,
Oh, well, that's
so
sad. So he
yeah,
started up some TNA.
yeah. He along with Jeff, he and his son Jeff Jarrett, who most people know, who's currently in AEW right now. They started up TNA, which eventually became Impact, which is still running today. They're just no longer involved with Impact. Or um, Anthem Sports bought out Jarrett and Dixie Carter and all them, and now they're still running on Access TV. But so Jerry Jarrett passed away on this past Tuesday at the age of 80, and I just wanted to just remind people who he was, and maybe even do a little moment of silence for him to just for everybody to remember. I don't know if any of you guys had heard of him or not, or a little bit, but
I've heard of him.
yeah.
I'm not sure whether I heard of him. I think I heard of his son
Yeah, well,
or a
I
couple.
think most people know his son more than him, because his time was more in the days of the regionals, the days of the territories. Um, so he didn't have as big and like his son Jeff has a bigger national profile than Jerry did, but Jerry was a big name in the Mid South area, in the Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia area. So.
Hmm.
So, anyways, just wanted to bring that up, and if anybody had any thoughts or memories they wanted to share, um, but I don't know if any of us here because his wrestling career is probably before any of us were born, um, so we probably
Or
know
most
more.
of it.
Yeah, um, his promotion work we've probably been more familiar with. If you happen to watch Memphis wrestling, or catch any of those shows. But, um, yeah, he was basically the booker. For those who don't know, for those who may not know, a booker in wrestling terms is somebody who basically sits there and plans out the. Oh, I guess we lost Shadowhawk there. Um,
Well, he'll be back.
I hope so because
Yeah, if he can.
I like to give people an outro if I know that they're going to be going. So
Yeah,
um,
might have been just something with his phone or whatever. So
Yeah.
I know he was muted too. So, but anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I know that our aside from James when he's here, I know the guys don't follow wrestling as close, modern wrestling anyways, as closely as I do. So that's why I usually
yeah,
put it
it might
more
have
on.
been. That might have been. I think metal follows a little bit
Yeah.
more, but I could be wrong.
All right, let's see. So, anyways,
Mhm.
so let's see.
Well, most of us stopped following wrestling in the mid 90s.
Yeah, I'd say that would be about it for me.
Yeah, I kind of continued through the night, into the early 2000s, but I lost interest in it for a while, and then got back. I got back into it more recently within the last year or so, because I'm covering it more now as
Mhm.
part of the niche,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
as
I,
I've explained before, I use the term niche because traditionally, the stuff we talk about, anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, traditionally they're considered
Considered niche hobbies, I know.
more mainstream in the last few years here. They're still traditionally considered more niche. So um,
yeah. I
yeah,
had a couple other friends who were more into it for the recent years, but two of them are dead now, and one I don't know where he is.
huh.
Hmm.
Let's see. You're up in Ontario, right, Rick?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
southeastern, southwestern, whatever. I'm not
yeah. So I know that that's actually like some of the guys who wrestle out of that territory also wrestle for Impact. Guys like Josh Alexander and
yeah,
well, Scott.
like
That's Scott Demore's area basically. Um,
yeah. I'm about
uh,
an hour and a half away from the border for New
mm,
York,
yeah.
Ah,
Buff- New York Buffalo area.
Hmm.
I think it would be
Let's see.
Buffalo.
so you knew where
And
the
you guys. Oh, I'm sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
no, Rick's near where the Eastern Conference used to be.
Hmm.
I guess so. Yeah,
Hmm.
like I think it's the Rainbow Bridge. That's what like
Yeah,
about an hour away from me in
yeah,
Niagara Falls, I should say.
And I don't know if I talked about this a little bit last week, but Velma, the first season of Velma came to a close, and they are actually working on another season here already. So
Yeah,
it has been confirmed there is going to be a second season of Velma.
that's probably gonna do worse than the first.
Yeah. Now,
Mike.
one of the things I mentioned too with it was the only reason it even has it because they probably contract because according to like Velma, Veridark and Yellow Flash, only reason they even get a season two is because they were probably initially contracted to do like
Do so.
season,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
that's
because
just like Kevin. Surprisingly enough, too, Kevin Smith's He-Man is getting a second season as well.
I know.
yeah, these woke people don't seem to get the message that nobody really likes their product.
Uh, I'd much rather the other CG animated one,
Yeah.
or I'd like to see a continuation of the one from 2003,
Hmm.
2002,
Hmm.
2003.
Yeah.
That would be better to bring back
Yeah. Yeah. That one would be.
because they were just about to get into the Hordak stuff and all that. Although I think they're going to be bringing Hordak in the second season of the Kevin Smith one with
Mm.
how they ended the first season.
Wonder how they'll do that one because what they've been doing to it because what Kevin Smith and his team's been doing to it. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
uh,
if you remember from the first season, the techno guys that were worshiping the techno stuff,
Yeah.
well,
that was
I didn't watch it, so I couldn't comment on
I
it.
know what you're talking
well,
about.
well, spoil caution for anybody spoilers. Not that many people will care, but that was Hordak
Yeah.
because you see Skeletor get taken in by it, and you see Hordak's face at the end, right end of season 2
Yeah.
with it. So
Hmm.
that's what makes me presume it's going to be about Hordak,
Yeah.
which which means they should bring in Shira, but they won't. But that's something that really pissed me off.
You know that they have another She-Ra series. Um,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
then there's
Amazon has
the live
Amazon has
action.
Shira, so they won't bring it. They won't do that.
Yeah, they have the live action Shira coming. They did have the Princesses of Power, but that was pathetic. I have to say that was even more pathetic than Kevin Smith's He-Man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but just think of this. At least Kevin Smith didn't end up being considered the worst animated show of all time and third third worst rated show period of all time.
Yeah,
Tell
Now,
me about it. Mhm.
I wonder if with them doing a live action She-Ra and they're supposed to be doing a live action He-Man movie, I wonder if they'll connect the two because in some ways you can't really have She-Ra without doing He-Man.
That's true.
You know,
And the way they have Hordak set up, you need Shira to do it.
well, you could do Hordak without technically, I think, because at least according to the original, he was um, around before the twins were
Right.
born. So,
Yeah, that's
and
what.
and even in the remake 2002, uh, S- Skeletor sort of got cured, if you will, for lack of a better term.
Mm,
Not so much in pain by Hordak,
mm,
you know, after he
yeah,
got the acid on his face and all that.
right.
So there is ways to bring Hordak in without Shira.
Yeah, but the thing is, most of Hordak's storyline would be around when Adam and Adora were infants.
Yeah, or
That's the only
even
thing.
or even
Well,
before.
basically, if you go back to the folklore, because I obviously I watched the '80s version. That was the one I grew up on.
Mm,
Hmm.
Original He-Man and the Master of the Universe,
Yeah,
and She-Ra, She-Ra, Princess of Power. Um, Hordak was the main bad guy before the series started, and
exactly.
and Skeletor initially was to Hordak what Beastman became to
The
Skeletor.
Skeletor. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's essentially what that was, and then of course Hordak left for Theria, and Skeletor more or less took over Eternia. So
yeah,
I would disagree. It's more what Evil Lynn is to Skeletor's. She's more Skeletor's apprentice than
yeah.
Beastman.
Then Beastman is
yeah,
but we get the
I
idea
get
where
what
you're
you're
coming
saying.
Although
Yeah.
from.
there may be a love interest with Evil Lynn too, with
Well,
Hordak.
the thing is, you
I
have to
mean
remember
Skeletor.
too, though, that when the Filmation's version of the shows never did anything like that because those were specifically directed at kids. They never really played up on any kind of
The
romance
love
or
interest.
Well,
yeah.
they did a little bit between Tila and Adam, or a little bit from Adam and He Man. Not Adam and He Man. That would be
Tila and
He
He-Man,
Man and
yeah,
Teela, yeah. I get what you're saying. They would drop hints, but they didn't really do anything
yeah,
like
thing with it.
over the top. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
for
It's one of those things where they hint at it to
it'd be
see
like
if you're paying attention.
yeah,
yeah.
for a kid's
But
perspective, it would be more the case. Yeah, you know, Tila like He-Man like, and they did it a little bit more, maybe a little bit more with She-Ra because that was more girl. Yeah, Bo likes like Kadora. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, but you got to remember that Shira was more directed toward girls, so
yeah.
yeah.
hmm
They like the
Well,
romance a little bit.
they
Although
even
Adora did have the thing with the pirate too.
yeah.
yeah,
I was just about to mention that Red Hawk, I believe it was.
yeah,
Yeah,
They and that seemed it's kind of funny too because now as you guys know, Filmation would utilize ensemble casting, meaning you really only had like 5 or 6 people doing all the voices for the show.
right.
And in She-Ra, of course, in the Filmation She-Ra series, George DeCenzo actually voiced both Bo um and
And the Red Hawk, I think
She-Hawk, and
She-Hulk, yeah,
George DeCenzo also voiced Hordak in the series too.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But that's one thing I didn't like about the toys for it. The toys for um She-Ra or He-Man, all the Horde was part of the He-Man toys, not the She-Ra toys,
I know. Well,
which is
they had to write in a villain that would catch the attention of both boys and girls. That was the thing. So they
yeah,
just and it was a way to promote Hordak, the evil horde.
yeah. Yeah, but the packaging was for, at that
Yeah,
point, She-Ra didn't really have any villains in, the
well, she
toys.
did, but the thing is, you have to understand how girls played with the toys. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made for good television.
Well, for the girls that were watching He-Man, they were getting the Masters of, they were the girls that were already watching,
Yeah,
He-Man and liking it.
right.
Not because their brother was watching it and they had no choice.
Well, and
Yeah,
you remember Shira, even back then, Shira had her set of female villains too
right.
that were part of the Horde.
Yeah,
And
You had
they were
Shadow
integrated into
Weaver,
the horde.
yeah,
Scorpina, and
Catra,
Patra.
uh, all
Catra.
these all these
Yeah,
characters were integrated into the horde, so
yeah,
it made
but
it easy.
yeah, but Hordak, should have been a Shira toy as well as Grizzlor and
Mm,
Leech,
right.
Mantana. You know, they
Yeah.
should. To me, they were part of the Shira show, not the He-Man show. So they should have been the toys of Shira, not He-Man. In my, ever so
Yeah, but
not so
the
humble.
thing is, these toys came out about a few months before She-Ra came out.
Hmm.
That
I
was the
didn't.
problem.
Uh, I only seen them after myself, but
Mm,
so maybe they did.
Hmm.
But they knew that they were coming out with the movie. Everybody did a few months beforehand. They even
yeah,
put movie toys out a couple months beforehand nowadays, which is
Hmm.
stupid. Wait till at
true.
least the movie's out in theaters.
You would think they would, but you're
I,
giving too
I,
much credit to certain types of people.
Hmm.
because you don't know nothing about this character that you got the toy of.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're at an hour 41 here, going on an hour 42, so I think it'd be a good time to start wrapping up. But I'm gonna have you guys do outro. Of course, just remind everybody who you are, and I'll start with Rick, and then Carrie, and then actually, before we do that, one
Mm-hmm.
other
Each
thing.
history.
Yep, this weekend in Nietzsche history,
Nick Easter egg.
all three things happened on yesterday's date.
This
So
weekend in the Nietzsche
Hey,
weekend.
this
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 weekend in
weekend in
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche history.
this
So
weekend in niche history.
so
This.
It's very Nietzsche of you.
Mm,
so. Anyways, today is Sunday, February 19th, 2023. We're gonna look back at this weekend in Nietzsche history. All three items are in. Of course, from yesterday. So, anyways, going back to 1998, yesterday, 25 years ago, yesterday, the 720th issue of Detective Comics, Volume 1. This is the volume that started all the way back in 1937. The 720th issue came out on yesterday's date back in 1998, which was 25 years ago today.
I might
Um,
actually have that.
yeah.
oh, this is the one that. Oh, this was before.
This is volume
Yeah,
one. This is volume one.
but
This is from
yeah.
the original volume of Detective Comics.
Mm-hmm.
It ultimately ran 881 issues, going all the way up to. But okay, so the story was the first and the last. Written by Chuck Dixon, penciled by Graham Nolan, inked by Klaus Janson, lettered by John Costanza, colored by Gloria Vasquez. Of course, we all know Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan because they're on the Madness Comic. Well, Chuck's got his own podcast. Ask Chuck Dixon, and Graham Nolan, of course, is a regular on Ethan's streams. So on yesterday's date, 25 years ago, the 720th issue of Detective Comics went on sale on that date. So, there you go with that one. Moving on to the next piece of Nietzsche history here. Let's see. On yesterday's date back in 2008, which was 15 years ago today, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event. This was the night after No Way Out that year from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. The main event of the show saw John Cena defeat Randy Orton with Triple H as special guest referee. Among the other, you had a couple of Money in the Bank qualifying matches on the night as Jeff Hardy defeated Snitsky and Mr. Kennedy defeated Val Venus. And you had Paul Burchill defeat Super Crazy. From what now, I'm not totally sure they've gotten to this point yet, but this was the Paul Burchill Katie Lee angle was a bit of a controversial one because they were implying the characters were brother sister,
Mm-hmm.
but they were supposedly implying something else was going on there. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So anyway, on yesterday's date, 25 years ago, or I'm sorry, 15 years ago, yesterday, the Monday Night Raw event from the Honda Center um, the night after,
The night
No
after?
Way Out, No Way Out, and 2008, I believe, is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. And the other thing that we're gonna hit up here, I think, is also from 2008. Yes, Nickelodeon celebrates the revival of the show The Fairly Odd Parents with the television film Fairly Odd Baby. It is the first new episode since 2006. So I
2
guess
years.
Fairly Odd Parents got canceled in 2006, but then they brought it back in 2008. So after a 2-year hiatus,
Don't you
Nickelodeon,
just love that word?
what?
Hiatus.
Hiatus?
Yeah,
Well,
they
Hi, hate us.
no, they use that term whenever they cancel something and then bring it back.
yeah. Well, yeah, or a temporary break or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, on this date, 15 years ago today, was the first new episode of Fairly Odd Parents from 2 years prior to that. So, anyways, guys, okay, so now we'll start closing things out. I'll start with you, Rick, and then Terry will go with you, and then I'll wrap things up. And Rick, if you can also help, with putting Terry's links up again as well. So Rick, why don't you do your little outro? You tell everybody who you are, what's going on for you this week, and anything else you want to promote or anything like that. And of course, put your link in if you'd like in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put Mighty's in first again because I can just copy and paste again. But anyways, I am Rick Piper, Cross Comics. I have some comics over on Indiegogo if you want to check them out. I have a TikTok now if people want to check it out. Cross Comics, and of course, I have a channel here on YouTube. I do live streams every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Eastern. So come on, drop by, say hi, watch, maybe come on the panel, join in the fun of talking about whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I have before. I hope you drop by mine. Last couple of weeks I've missed you. So,
Mm.
all right. So, and as Rick is sharing the links and stuff, of course, Tara, you want to close out? Actually, you probably have another little announcement you want to do, and
Well, I had three if you really want. Well, you can catch me Wednesday with Chris Temulevich on Hero Shack Live. And I'll be joining you this Friday
right.
when we go through our favorite comics.
Yeah, but, going back in time and looking at old comics. Okay. Anything else there, Terry?
Ah, yes. There is the draw along that's happening this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. This
On
time
Chris's channel.
we're doing it on Chris's channel.
And there is, of course, Mighty Geeks link again. And Rick, when you put yours in, I'll highlight that as well.
Mine's
So,
in there.
anyways, guys, so now to start wrapping things up as I wait for Rick to.
Mine's already there, just
Oh,
under
you're
his.
already there? Okay, then I will
I
highlight
didn't
that.
put any other text with mine, but
Yeah. So, there you go, guys. So if you want to check either Rick or Terry's channel out, I suggest you go for it. Anyways, so this week on the Mikestand, of course, tomorrow we'll be going over the DC Marvel releases as we've been doing last few weeks, from CDR, just putting the information out there. Whether or not you want to buy the comics or not, you should still check it out just to know what's going out there. I mean, if for nothing else, maybe you'll get a good laugh out of it, as we were talking about last Monday. Tuesday through Thursday, of course, we go over of course, niche news from Founding in the Comics or CBR. The story we did tonight, I was initially going to do Tuesday, but we decided to do it tonight. And on Friday, Terry is going to join me as we look back, as we start our coverage of September of 1939, comics that went on sale that year. That night, of course, we will be going over books that went on sale in September 1939 from DC Comics. So which will include, of course, Detective Comics, Volume 1, number 32, in which that's the conclusion of the Batman versus the Monk story. The introduction of Julie Madison, his first love interest. Also, the return of the Gora. Maybe even do some Hop Harrigan and Squibbly in there as well, and Sandman. But anyways, with that, guys, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I thank you guys as well for coming in and chatting it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation tonight.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did.
All right. And with that, guys, I thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.